allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Have the secretary perform a roll call attendance, please.
Mr. Andros? Here. Mr. Saru?
Here.
Mr. Freno?
Here.
Mr. Baraticos?
Here.
Mr. Maselli?
Here.
Mr. Flower?
Here. Okay. All the board members should have received the minutes from the August 7th meeting. If there's no discussion regarding the minutes, somebody wants to make a motion to accept them as written.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, first item on the agenda this evening is an adjourned public hearing for site plan and special use permit for Verizon Wireless Communication Facility at Dydell Road. Entertain a motion to open the adjourned public hearing.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So, good evening. My name is Scott Wilson. I have a thumb drive that can show some material, although it's all materials pretty much that have been mostly submitted to date, except we do have some revised plans that we submitted. The nature of the revisions, I misspoke the last meeting. I apologize for that. I thought this property was much lower in elevation than it actually is, and I think I said at this podium, I don't think we're gonna need an FAA light. We don't know that we're gonna need a light, but we did submit in June to the FAA because of the proximity to the airport. So we don't have a response from them. They are very backlogged. The last project I worked on, thank you. I worked on, thank you. So the last project I worked on with the FAA, it took about 8 months just to get them to make a determination. They're extremely backlogged. I've heard horror stories of up to a year, but I've heard stories of earlier also. So it's sitting with them. It has been. For now, we've made an assumption that because of the proximity to the airport, a light will probably be required by the FAA. So I've got some information on the light. We put it on the plans for you. And it's a relatively new light that is manufactured by Flash Technologies. And what they do is they use a lens with an aperture to basically limit light spill to the ground, to the effect of, they claim that if you're 1,500 feet away or so and you're on the ground, it looks like a 30-watt bulb, basically. They say it's less intrusive than a street light because of the way the beam is projected outward and it's controlled from going downward. So we've included those on the plans, which I'm having trouble finding. But it would be at the top of the tower. So this is just some information from the Flash Technologies. That kind of shows you the beam and how it's projected outward. It's an FAA-approved light. If it is required, the light, that is something that we would use. But I wanted to bring it to your attention because I think it kind of complicates things a little bit, because under your code, the maximum height of a tower is that which can be operated without FAA light. So we would probably have to go to the ZBA for a variance for that, again, if it was required.
Okay. All right. All right. you also received, I guess there was a copy, we had received a letter from our RF analysis.
So I did not receive that, but I got word that it was done, but I have not seen a copy of it yet. So
Okay.
if I could get a copy of it, unless it's somewhere in the email I missed it, I apologize. But what I usually do is turn that right over to the RF engineer, because usually he has a few questions. So I don't know what it says, but we'll send it to our engineer.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
But we did, the planner and myself, we did have a conversation with him a little bit today, just to go over, what was, was put together in the letter. And there was some discussion regarding the, one of the alternate sites, or actually, it was two of the alternate sites. Yeah. I'll let you touch on it, Malcolm, just as,
I mean, you'll have the report from the RF analyst, and I'm sure that you will go through it and respond to it in kind. But the highlights from it are, we're looking for more robust information from you on the alternate sites, on why some of them were discounted. In particular, two of the sites that were brought up at the last public hearing, which in your alternate site report are labeled as alternate site C and alternate site E. One of those is the site, I believe it's two tax lots to the west of the one that is being proposed now. That had a higher base elevation, and the RF analyst thought that out of the two that were mentioned by the public, that was probably the most viable. And just looking at some of the maps, it also looks like it maximizes distance from residential developments in the surrounding area. So if we can get more information from you on the viability of that site and why it was discounted in your alternate site analysis.
Which site were you just referring to? Was that the?
C, correct?
Yeah,
It was not the
Site C.
Waterfields, okay. The other one was the Waterfields.
yeah.
Okay,
The specifics, I mean, the tax lot numbers and things like that are in the report.
I got it. And so C basically is just the other property, like you said, of our current owner.
Yes. Yes, I think it's
Understood. 2
2 lots to the west, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
There were some other comments in there, some additional information that we wanted from that our RF analyst was looking for from yours. I think that ultimately, rather than having you do that on multiple sites, we should figure out whether or not one of these alternates is viable and determine which site makes the most sense to move forward with. What he was looking, and I can't remember the technical term, but is essentially to demonstrate that this is the minimum height that will satisfy the demand and service. But as he describes it to me, it's a lengthy process and not one that you would want to repeat on a bunch of sites that you don't move forward with. So again, all of that is as detailed in the report, but I think that first and foremost, we figure out which site makes the most sense to move forward with, and then if we need to revise the visual analysis, we'll do that. And this incremental RF analysis, and hear back from the FAA at some point, I'm sure.
Hopefully, soon.
Those are the broad strokes of,
Okay.
of the report, but it's long and detailed, and we received it fairly recently. I think we got it in on Friday.
Yep.
But that will be made available to you and to the public as well.
No, that's great. And if I may just request, once I get it, I'll pass it along to the Verizon engineer. And what we typically do is ask the board, can the 2 engineers talk? I'm not involved because they do their engineer speak, which I don't frankly usually understand. But I let them talk it out, and usually they work together, and then a supplemental product is produced to basically address the questions. But a lot of times they talk through things, and instead of going back and forth, report after report, it seems to be a little more efficient. So if that's okay, I'll have our engineer reach out to Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, I don't think we have a problem with that. I mean, they'll probably get to some resolution a lot quicker by doing that.
Exactly.
Just after talking to them today, it sounds like it's the easiest. Let the 2 of them hash let the two different engineers hash out the, all the questions, and they can come up with a better plan coming forward.
Yeah, no, we'll let them talk. I do know that the one property, I talked to our engineer about the Waterfield property, which is further to the west, and he had concerns about it because it was about, if I remember correctly, 30 feet or so lower in elevation. So he said, that then you start to push the tower height up to get the same, you need a certain elevation, basically.
Right,
So,
right.
but I'll let him address those
But
and show you the information to them.
C is our preferred location.
There's, he was,
Out of those.
See.
as it was being described, there's one that is at a lower elevation and it looks like it has some wetlands on it. There is another that is a higher elevation and maximizes distance from neighboring communities, and that would be our preferred if it is viable from
Yeah.
a service perspective.
Okay, and that's like I said, C is our current property owner's property also, so,
Right, so
yeah,
Yeah.
different parcel.
probably be the easiest to move to if you were to,
If it can be, because I don't, again, go by memory right now, might even be in plans, not in these plans, actually. I know as the further west you go, there are some wetlands. I just don't know exactly where they
Where they lie.
pop up, basically,
Yeah.
so. But we'll look at that.
I guess one of the other things that's, I'm just browsing the report, talks about trees and screening. So I don't know if that seems to be a reason for choosing the current location over C. But
It looks like somebody behind you has.
This is Brian Sarchi.
Yeah, if I may address the board, it's a good point that you bring up, and one of the reasons this property was chosen is because there is some forested land in the back, so it does help screen, the tower location. Versus candidate C, it's more of an open hayfield, so your potential view shed from that location would be greater.
okay.
And we can obviously look into that further, but if you recall, the visuals that we did for the project, for this one, came out, pretty good, where, I forget, 25 sites or so, but it wasn't very visible.
There's 3 where it was more clearly visible out of the
Yes.
selection.
Exactly, so, I mean, again, I don't know if people want to see them, but,
From public rights of way, I think that is true, but
Yeah.
looking at the map, I think that location C also maximizes distance from residential neighborhoods. From people's homes.
understood, and so like this, this is just the view shed map, which was confirmed through the photographs, but this is, what is this one? This is like a 1 mile radius. And the white areas that you see within that circle, those are generally the areas from which the balloon is visible, so that's where the tower will be visible from. The areas that are red and or yellow, for lack of what I think it's yellowish, those are areas that are screened by topography and or vegetation. Obviously, there's more screening in the summer months, but and less in the winter, but I think here we showed you what the leaf off was, yeah. So this is more of a worst case type of scenario that we showed. So.
Okay. All right. All right. Any of the board members have any questions regarding this application?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, John, did you have anything with this one?
No, they had addressed all our comments regarding the site layout. If the site does indeed change, we may have to relook at a couple of things, but
Yep. Okay. All right. All right, Jim, you have nothing right now?
no, not,
All right, okay, so, I mean, this is an adjourned public hearing. Guess at this point, let's open up the floor for public comment, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. The only thing I would just add, obviously, I think things are going to be adjourned further. We have, I don't know what the date was, I think it was October 16th, we did the shot clock extension.
Yeah.
Obviously, we would just like to extend it further while we do this, so
Yeah.
if I could put a letter together like I did before, I could put it out until November, December, something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe December.
December.
Yeah, that'd be great if, yeah, we do that, yeah.
Thank you.
Just administratively, I just want to make sure we don't run afoul of that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So at this time, is there anybody from the public that has any comment regarding this, this application? Please state your name and address for the record.
We're Tim and Jessica Toolin. We live next door at 87 Dydell Road, in between the two pieces they're considering. First of all, just to address these pictures, that picture right there is the lower field of Sid Corbin's second property that we're saying to put on. The arrow he's pointing is jumping over our piece of property. There's no way you would see it from that point because it's really, really low from Dydell Road right there. So his pictures are very wrong. Yeah, they're not taken. If you were to stand on our backyard, you will see it. He kind of made a picture to show you what it would look like from our backyard. All their balloon tests that they took were taken from Dydell Road at the very, which is low, and everything goes up.
Yeah, it's just,
So-
yeah, let's take a quick look at
So
it.
those pictures he's showing you is from standing on Dydell Road, which is low. It's not taking it from people's houses of where they would see it. You know, it totally skipped our house there completely, which is in between that property. That's showing from standing way down the road looking forward to Sid Corbin's property. So it's really not a very good picture. And neither were his others, because it was taken from the other side, same thing.
Okay, all right, just need one person talking at a time.
Yeah. Well, I know he was just showing the same picture, so he was saying that way. And the other point he always wanted to make is none of us were notified about that balloon test, and all the pictures that he was taken from way down Dydell Road instead of near the houses, which would actually see something. If we would have notified him, we'd been standing on our deck, guaranteed we would have seen that balloon. Because we would see the entire tower, that red light they're probably going to put on that's going to shine out like the 30-watt bulb straight ahead would shine straight into our house, because that's where it's going to go. And probably the other houses on Daniel Sabia Drive.
I don't believe they notified anybody of the balloon test, the 4 people that came last time. None of them knew anything about it, never got a letter. We never got a letter. So, you know.
Nobody's being
They're not telling everybody
open
everything.
about all this, so that anybody can come forward to take pictures to say, this is what that balloon looked like from my deck, from my bedroom, from my whatever. You know, and where that light's going to be showing is where it's going to be. Our house is up at the higher elevation, as is some of our neighbors' houses and everything. And where this will be shining will be dead level with everything there, whereas these pictures he's taking are not the same. If you drive down there, they are way lower. There's way down Dydell Road that he's taken at on the other side of the horse farm, on the other side of his house. So yeah, you're not going to see it from there, you know, but you will see it from our houses. So it's not a fair representation. Yeah. The site they're proposing, much better. It's not near any house.
It's going to be right behind their house.
Right.
And, you know, the other ones that.
We went, we talked to them, we asked them, they said they don't care. They want it over there. They could care less where they put it, so the Corbins don't care. But, because we asked if they can move it to someplace else that's not near everybody's houses. And they were like, nope, not our problem. So that's kind of where we're at. But yes, it does make a lot more sense, the other property, because it's far away from everybody's houses. There's not a lot of trees, but it doesn't really matter because there's no houses.
Right.
Those do have some trees, but those trees are like not far from our house at all. So it doesn't.
Especially 120 trees, the biggest tallest trees, 40 feet, maybe they say 60 feet. It's only 40 feet or so.
Okay, well, I mean, they're looking at the alternate
Yeah, so I mean, a
location,
lot of our complaints, I guess, would, like you said, there's no point going forward unless they determine which site you're actually going to use. And if they determine this one, then we got a lot more to say, I guess. But, yeah, at this point, we just want to make it known anyway that his pictures are not accurate. And nobody was notified about this balloon test and all that. And if they want true visuals, they should do it again and allow all of us to take pictures of what it actually looks like. You know, what it would be there, because that's really not correct.
Okay. All right, now we'll take comments.
I
We'll,
really have a problem having it right behind my bed.
okay, yep. All right. Is there anyone else wish to make comment?
Good evening. My name is Jose Seco, and I am the property owner on the other side. These folks are on one side, I'm on the other side,
Okay.
where they're proposing this tower.
Address the number again?
117 Dydell Road.
Okay.
Okay, the comment made, obviously this picture is the low end, wide angle, not the hill that's actually behind it, which is higher elevation, as the gentleman here spoke, which would be a much better. Now we're saying, what was brought up at the last meeting, that they will need an aviation light. So that means that you're going to place it on a straighter piece of property, this cell tower, with an aviation light shining on our property. Next is they're saying, oh, vegetation. So they're going to use our property, our quality of life, to cover the cell tower. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because saying that the other side doesn't have that, they can plant trees around it. They can make it look whatever way they like it. And it's way away from residential. And I do know that the requirements are, okay, locating towers and antennas so that they will not create not create an attractive nuisance, noise, or harm from falling objects, otherwise will be there, or other potential adverse impact on property values, the health, safety, welfare, and quality of life in that community. If you're going to place a light on top of a tower that's going to be young, and it has to be high density for aviation, that's going to be shining in when people are sleeping, because it has to be at night. Look at the light at the airport. It has to be seen. And the other location, which is a much better location, and it can be improved to be able to be there, and it does not have the residential around it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Put it down on the...
Thank you. And that's code 240-41.
Okay, is there anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I guess at this point,
That's the alternative site. This is the site.
I mean, I guess
You want
it
to
would
adjourn
probably be
again?
wise to keep the public hearing open
Yep.
at this point, so I guess we need to adjourn it to a future date. So, what do you think the time frame is going to be to come, with your side of, to come back with some information regarding the alternate site? You think it's something they'll,
Oh, I think you meet twice a month.
we meet twice a month.
But I think
so-
in 30 days, we could maybe be back here for the early
Okay.
October.
And you'd have to meet the submission date for whichever meeting.
Okay.
So we have beforehand, so let me just check with this.
October 2nd, and the submission is September 11th.
It's,
So,
No.
second meeting.
Yeah, let's do the
The second meeting.
Yeah, we're already, this is the 6th.
Yeah, so if we go for the second meeting in October,
16
Okay.
October.
was it 15?
16 October.
16?
16, and the deadline for
All
submission.
right.
The deadline for that
So-
is the 25th September.
Okay, we'll shoot for that, and for some reason, if we're not, I'll obviously let you know.
Okay.
But we should have the RF information by then.
Okay, all right. So at this point, I mean, it was the board, unless anybody on the board has any other questions regarding this application, entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing to October the 16th.
So move.
Okay. Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so we're good for that application. Okay. All right, so our next application is the site plan and special use permit for Verizon Wireless Kent Road Small Wireless Facility. Entertain a motion to open that adjourned public hearing.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So again, for the record, Scott Olson. So this is, I think, the easiest one we have for tonight. We submitted some revised plans. The only revision we did was to address, I forget which comment it was.
The site distance?
Is the line of sight. So we did do that. It's the last plan, or second to last, last one on here. So that's provided. I don't know that you can see it because I can't see it, but, no. Sorry. Overall, this one has some pretty good sight distance.
Yeah.
Sorry for whatever I just did. So that was like, I think, one of the biggest comment that was there.
Yeah.
Weren't too many other comments. We tried to address that. Overall, we think it's it fits in with the surrounding network of utilities that you have. I don't think there are any major concerns with it other than the line of sight distance.
No. Well, first, I'll start with the board. Does anybody on the board have any concerns with this application that haven't been addressed? No. Okay. Malcolm, have you have no open issues with this
No,
currently
I
at
have
this
no
point?
open issues. We spoke with the RF analyst earlier today. He also has no open issues with this application. There are no red flags in his report, so.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
John?
and this was the one comment that we had regarding this application, the line of sight. We just got the submission this evening, so I'll take a look at it tomorrow just to verify. But it looks like they provided what we asked for.
Okay. All right. And then,
I guess
Jim,
one comment would be, I looked briefly in the town records. I don't believe we have any kind of right-of-way agreement with Verizon Wireless for any outstanding facilities. I know we did Chelsea Road years ago, but that was a county road. So we probably have to negotiate, do some kind of right-of-way agreement.
Does this fall in with, I have to,
We don't
not that I'm aware of.
No, we've done two different projects, one in the county right away and a different one in town that we attached to the existing utility pole.
Okay.
But no, we don't have a existing MLA.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could,
That we gotta work out.
Yep.
yep, yeah, I can certainly initiate by sending you,
What you have.
exactly.
I'm very good at not reinventing the wheel.
Okay, great. Great,
So
Okay.
if you send me, maybe 2 samples from other municipalities.
can do.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, it is a public hearing. Let's, I don't know if there's anybody here this evening that wishes to speak regarding the Didell Road. Not Didell Road, sorry. No, not Spook Hill. This is Kent Road. This is Kent Road.
Kent Road.
Yep, we're still on Kent Road here. So if anybody wants to talk about has any questions, concerns regarding the small cell wireless facility on Kent Road? Okay, seeing none. At this point, I mean, this is pretty well wrapped up.
Yeah.
With the only item would be is, the legal, just the legal issue within the right-of-way, which I'm assuming, Jim, that could be a condition?
Certainly.
Yeah. So,
I guess one of the other things is we may want to get the highway super's comment.
okay, he hasn't commented on this at all?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, or, if he
Yeah,
has seen it.
I mean, it would
Certainly-
probably circulate it to him, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we could just get something from him for the record, but I don't think that would,
Yeah, okay.
preclude closing the public hearing.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So at this point, I mean, there's no reason to keep the public hearing open at this point, so,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
okay. Motion is made. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries.
Authorize the planner.
We could authorize the planner if anybody wants to make that motion of the planner
Yeah, I'll move
to draft a resolution of approval.
with whatever, the one condition we had, right?
2 conditions.
2 conditions.
Yeah, so they have to get something from the highway superintendent to sign off on this, as well as there's going to be a legal agreement which is needed for the right-of-way.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion's made.
Second.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay. All right, so on to the next application, which is the Spook Hill Park Small Wireless Facility, site plan and special use permit for Verizon Wireless. Entertain a motion to reopen the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
So good evening again, Scott Olson for Verizon Wireless. And I'm trying to, so at the last meeting, one of the biggest issues was people didn't like the fact that the pole was on the bend of the road, and we understood. So what I'm trying to show you here is the plans that our engineer has said he can relocate it about 160 feet north. Now, I believe this board asked, can we go, I think it was to the south in front of
The park.
the park. And
Yeah.
we looked at that, and we can't do that, and I'm sure Nate will correct me if I get this wrong, but there are existing utilities right there, and that with primary lines, and I think that prevents us from doing that. Is that?
Yeah, so the rule of thumb, right, that the design is we cannot propose a pole within a existing power line. We have to go on the other side of the street. In this case, the power lines in front of the park, everything runs on that side of the road, so that's why we have to propose it on the other side of the road.
alternate side.
Yep.
Okay.
So what we did was, instead, we just went up, clearly we're above the curve. That's what a lot of people said, they didn't want the pole to be there, so we can move it there. Should not be a problem for us at all. And we provided a line of sight also in the plans, which, for whatever reason, I can't operate this right, but there you go. So there's a line of sight. Obviously, you have a much different line of sight now by moving it the way we did. So, hopefully that's responsive to the planning board's concerns, and we think it addresses it to the best we could. We can't go too much further because we just have to be there. In fact, I think I saw an email from Mr. Johnson saying that, is this okay for you to be there? I said, our engineer has said it's okay. He just didn't see plots for it. And I said, well, we're only 150 feet away. And I know that can make a difference, but if our engineer's okay with it, it should be okay. He seemed to be okay with that.
Yeah, I think he was. I think everything was fine because it was same elevation.
Yes.
Yeah, with our discussion earlier with Bill Johnson, he had mentioned those items.
Okay.
That it was that at least in his opinion, that within that area, that would have been an acceptable site.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't affect any of the signaling that was involved with that move.
Exactly. But it just goes to show you that, and it's something that people that aren't in the business, he's concerned initially, like, hey, you're only 160 feet away, and it potentially could affect it. The point is that these are such low power signals that it really is not a case where we can just put it anywhere and have it work.
Right.
But, anyway.
Right. The further you move it away from its original location, the less it's going to do for what you're trying to do to improve the service in the
Exactly.
area.
There was also I remember him expressing that if they had been looking to move it to the east or the southeast, that might have affected. The same distance to the southeast might have affected its service, but if anything, this is moving it in the right direction,
Yeah.
closer to what it's trying to offload traffic from.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any of the board members have any questions regarding what's being proposed currently?
No, because I took care of
Okay.
pretty much everything they were concerned about, the residents there.
Yeah, as long as the residents are all right.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, you know, do you have no more comments on this?
No, just to reiterate for the public, it's been moved across the street, across Spook Hill, and approximately 150, 160 feet north. It is no longer in somebody's yard or adjacent to
Yeah.
somebody's yard. It looks like
Yeah.
it's been moved farther away from residences, or at least the residents at that corner. But we'll see.
Okay. All right, John?
Yeah, as with the previous, this one, we had asked for them to show the line of sight. And with this new location, they've given that, again, we just got it tonight, so we'll take a look at it, but it appears to be much better in this new location.
Okay. And Jim, well, same
Same comment
comment
about
as
the
the last one,
right,
obviously. Okay. All right, so with that,
Just, I guess, just to the comment about the right-of-way, and this will be incorporated in the agreement. You know, one of the concerns was at some point in time, if there would ever be a straightening of the curve there. You know, this looks like it would be near the beginning of the curve, whether the town ever does that or not. But that would be in the agreement that should the road.
Appropriately.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, we're not gonna have it in the middle of.
right.
yeah. Okay, so with that, I'll open up the floor for comments. Go up to the podium, name and address for the record, please.
Hi, everybody. I don't know, do we need this? Delia Engstrom, I was before you guys.
Hold the microphone.
Please use the microphone.
Yes, thank you.
Back in,
Should be on.
back, I think in July, I supplied you guys with a bunch of pictures of our property. We live in the residence that will not be affected by the new location of the pole. We're at 21 Spook Hill Road. You can kind of tell in this small visual that the proposed location of the pole, it did not move across Spook Hill Road. It is still on the same side as Spook Hill Road as it was originally proposed. It's just 150, 200 feet farther north, directly in front of our pond. That, you know, we have 4 acres of property. We're in a 1700s-year-old farmhouse that we've been remodeling, taking care of and cleaning up, and now we've been rewarded with the potential of a cell phone tower next to our 300-year-old stone wall. Before I get into any more of that, I would like to just address the fact that I had continually refreshed the website, and it looked like, and it was addressed tonight, that the agenda was not updated until maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours before the meeting tonight to show this information, and I'm just wondering if there's a protocol for that. It was kind of last minute for us to get this information. Is there any kind of guidelines on when those things have to be publicized prior to the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, we did receive it today, unfortunately. It was just something, at least the board did.
We received it on Friday due to the holiday. I was on vacation. And
Right.
we got it on.
So, yeah, so it was delayed due to vacations, things like that.
That's fine. Well, I just,
it's,
We tried to be
is
very
there,
transparent, yeah.
to be honest, with the location, what's the concern with the current location?
when we exit our driveway, we are now the only individuals that are impacted by this, because that is our left-hand turn toward, left-hand view towards this turn to see oncoming traffic. This is the area that we mow weekly, more than weekly, to maintain and cut back vegetation along the turn, a cell phone tower located in the middle of the property that we maintain. will definitely be a concern of mine. As I mentioned, we have a pond filled with fish, frogs, snapping turtles. It's home to the deer, skunk, possum, fox, raccoons, everything that use that pond. I'd like to know more information about the upkeep of a cell phone tower when it's located next to a body of water, in addition to just our regular upkeep. I understand that is quote-unquote like easement, but nobody maintains that other than us. I'd like to know what that would look like moving forward. I'd also, I guess it's been addressed in their discussion regarding the possibility of moving it closer to the name that keeps being used for the project, which is Spook Hill Park. You could just call it 21 Spook Hill Road at this point, because that's where it's located. We have an easement, as you can see, the black line that runs at an angle diagonally through our property. It was recorded with the Dutchess County Clerk on June 7th, 1957, granting an easement of 20 feet on either side of the poles for utilities. They come out at the other side of our property, on the other end of the turn. I know they addressed the fact that that was not a good location. I think my husband Jason's going to speak to our questions regarding what the wiring will look like. You know, because it sounds theoretical about like there being wires, but I would like to know where they're going, what that's going to look like. So I'll let Jason speak to that.
Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen, ma'am. Yeah, our biggest concern right now is, of course, what Delia said, the line of sight. You know, just the other day I was coming out of my driveway. I looked left towards the corner, clear as a bell. You know, as soon as I took one, foot into the road, I look and there's a car right on me. You know, that's what we're dealing with like every day trying to get out of there. That pole is just going to impact us more. You know, that corner is like it's a very dangerous corner. They say the line of sight's going to be good. We just disagree with that completely. Even for the cars on the other side heading towards that corner, they're still going to be impacted by that pole. We really just want to know what, the engineer said, yeah, there's utility lines on the other side. There's utility lines on this side. There's utility lines on Nancy Aline. That whole corner has utility lines. That's not really an excuse. There's no reason why that couldn't be just on the southeast of that corner where there wouldn't be any impacts to visibility. Because if a car's traveling west and then north, a pole on their right side is not going to impact them that much because the traffic's on the other side of the road. Same with coming the other way. So the southeast location to us seems to be the most safe.
And it's already set back about
Yeah, and it's already set back.
15 feet from the road versus 25.
Yeah, there's plenty of room to tie in, especially tying into the electric, since the electric poles are on that side. They can tie right in instead of bringing another set of lines across the road. So now we're going to have 3 sets of lines crossing Spook Hill, which to me just looks like a mess. I don't know why we would want to have lines going over to the park, lines going to Nancy Aline, and now another lines coming across back. And that's if their plan is to do that, because they in this new plan, they don't say where they're going to be connecting power from.
It was on the original site.
On the original one, they were saying they were going to connect it from Nancy Aline, which is right at, I don't know if you can see it, but it's right on the corner there. So there's a pole there that they were originally going to tie in and bring it across the street, which we didn't like that either. But now, I don't know if they're going to keep bringing that, stretching it all the way across to this new pole location, or are they going to try to tie into the power lines on our property, which means if they don't have an easement for that, they're going to be crossing right across that pond, right over to the easement on our property. I don't see how they could do that legally without an easement. So yeah, we would like more info on that. But mostly, we're just mostly concerned, like, why not the southeast location? That really just, we're not trying to slow this down.
It's still our property, so it's not a NIMBY situation.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like, yes, please, but just.
I was one of the people that contacted Verizon asking for better cell phone service. So I'm not trying to slow this project down. It's just, to me, it's why not that side of the road? There's plenty of spaces over there to do it. And it's the same elevation. There's no major hills in the way that's going to cause comm problems. It just seems like the smart choice to be on that side. somewhere they can work it out.
We're looking at the same picture that's up there. Where's your driveway come out?
It's,
Right across from, it's not marked, but the street up on the top left corner is Minna Drive. Our driveway pretty much goes right across, like if that was a cross street, our driveway.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Got you. So that's your house is basically on the top right corner that's cut
yes,
off?
sir.
Okay.
And that's
Yes,
the
sir.
driveway coming out.
Yep.
If you look at the last sheet in the package, LOS 1, the driveway is, their driveway is shown with a site distance.
When you reference the southeast location, where exactly are you talking about?
So if you're looking at the bend of the corner, as you're coming south down Spook Hill, and as it bends to head towards the park, yeah, sorry, I don't have a pointer, but as it bends down to the park, if you're on the north side of Spook Hill, in between the corner and that junction of power lines over there that's marked, there's plenty of space in there. Oh, okay, yeah, that would make more sense. Right all along through here, anywhere there could be a good spot. You know, you wouldn't have to bring power lines across the street. It wouldn't impact any kind of visibility. Yeah, right. Yeah, somewhere closer to here, like.
We have our stone wall taken apart there to give access to all the utility companies to come onto the property. I understand it's not going to be on a utility pole, but it would be a lot less obtrusive and,
I guess the only issue is the overhead wires, which I guess do come
It
right
cannot
here.
be on the side, unless I'm misunderstanding, it can't be on right in front of the park in terms of on the side.
I mean,
We're talking about on the other side of the road, having wires go across the street still.
If that's the argument, though, right where the new location is, there's a pole right here. So I mean, that location, that argument doesn't make any sense because there's a pole there, there's poles there, there's a pole there, there's a pole there, there's a pole there. So saying that you can have it here but not here doesn't make any sense because there's poles and utility lines all along there.
I'm saying it can't be in front, we were talking about utility company, it can't be in front of the park, it's the primary and secondary lines.
Well, the park is down here,
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
and I'm saying here.
You're saying over, if I can just go on.
So there's poles on that side of the...
This is where the lines come across and then cross the street. This is the park over here. I'm saying right here.
Okay, we got a little too much going on here right now. It's just, it's just getting a little, yeah.
Take a look at it.
I just wanted to address you guys and let you know our concerns and ask that it be further.
Okay, well, maybe when we get, maybe when we get done, maybe you can speak to the applicant outside.
Yeah,
Kinda
we'd be happy to do that.
maybe hash things
but,
out, I
yeah.
guess. and
Yeah, but
If there is, and then maybe they can explain to you the locations, where it can and cannot go. Because again, I guess, I understand the issue with the overhead wires, that's,
But you guys are the deciding body, not them.
right, no, correct. And you could, and again, you could discuss it with them, maybe they can, they can look at it or they can explain it to you. Maybe there is an alternate location, maybe not. Again, they're doing something to try to, achieve an objective. But, they did move it. They did move it, listening to everybody's concerns. And then now we have it, we moved it to here, now we have a concern for this location,
It's still on our property, like, we're not saying, like, not us, but
Well, I mean, it's obviously, it's not on your property.
well,
It's not on your, it's not on your property, it's in the public right-of-way, which is, just so we can be, just so we can be clear, because if it was on your property, they would have to turn around and get an easement from you in order to put it. Right.
Just to go back to those 2 points, sir, that's really what we're trying to get at is if they put it there, it's either going to be lines crossing the streets again or else, unless they, I'm thinking that they're going to try to tie into the power line that's on,
I'd like to see that.
yeah. So we'd like to see the electric plan on where they were planning on tying it in.
Right. But you're
And
saying
then
there's,
also-
there's an easement on your property for
Yep.
power lines to cross? Right.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah,
shown
so if it's-
on this.
Yeah.
It's on the
Yeah.
sketch.
So if they were to come off of there and then come out, they would have to, if they're going to be outside of that easement area, then you would have to renegotiate that easement with you in order to do so.
So, Mr. Chairman, the pond shows up on parcel access as a federal wetland.
Yep.
We're not going to impact it.
Howard, yeah, I would like to have further information on that, how the pole's maintained, if it's sprayed with chemicals, what's going
All right.
on. I don't need to have
So we
it
have
at
a-
this moment, but.
So it would be in the 100-foot
So we
buffer.
have another issue.
It's a DC or a federal?
No, it's
Federal.
But it's a town wetland.
Town, well, we have a town wetland.
Okay, so it's a, all right.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you have a plan for how you are powering this?
I mean, I think it was going across the street from the other side, because that's where the primary comes from. Again, we thought we were responding to exactly
Right,
what
right.
you said at the last hearing, was move it, and now, I'm sorry, if you,
You don't have to address us
Yeah,
directly.
all right, so I get,
Okay.
yeah, I get the issue.
The
I mean,
point is that-
Again, it's, with the submission and it being, unfortunately, with the holiday weekend and everything.
I understand
just
that,
prior
and
and-
that's sorry
yeah.
for that. So I
That's
won't address
okay.
anybody specifically, other than to say that the people that own the property there, or at least the woman who was the owner last month, made it
Right.
very clear not to be on the corner, and so we tried to move it, and now they're saying, not on the corner, but not too far from the corner. So we're trying to accommodate them.
No. I
But I guess-
thought we were, yeah.
And I'm not trying to be argumentative, but the utility company can come in and put a pole wherever they want. And that you guys wouldn't be arguing about this. And it's not a cell tower, it's a utility pole.
Yeah,
Yes, it will be used for wireless transmissions, but it's a utility.
right.
And so, again, we're no different than your regular utility company, and I get it, people get concerned, although if I remember correctly, someone who spoke may have had a son who's an RF engineer who confirmed that there are no issues, so I don't understand why that's an issue. We will try to continue to work through it.
Yeah.
Please don't interrupt. We will continue to try to work through it. We thought we were doing the right thing, and I think the board sees that it's a little ironic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can put that, you have this picture you can put up so they can see what it's going to look like.
Yes.
The pole itself, what it's going to look like, because, I mean, they're calling it tower, but
It's sourced from the exact same place that utility pole
It is
is
just
sourced
a
from.
frame.
Right.
Verizon telephone is going to be set.
Use the microphone if you're going to speak.
Verizon Telephone will be putting the
Yeah.
pole, and it's sourced from the exact same places that all utility poles that are located in and along the Spook Hill right-of-way
Yeah.
and other right-of-ways in your town are sourced from. They're the same things. And they probably have less equipment on them than your 3-gang transformers that are sparse, spaced throughout the town center.
Right.
It's really not much of a difference, but we will continue to try to work.
No, if we can work through it and get a location, and I guess we can revisit this. So do you want to put this off to the October 16th?
I guess we have to.
Okay. And in the interim, the quicker you can get us a little something, we can run it by the RF engineer as well, just so we
Sure,
can.
that is. for
We
what is-
want it, the quicker we get the information, we can get it to him so
Sure.
that we can get back to everything. And
Yeah.
I'm going to ask the board, with this application, do we allow obviously the applicant to, or the applicant's engineer to reach out to our RF engineer on this application as well, to discuss issues in between meetings? So if everybody's in favor of that, I just wanted to make sure. No objections? Okay.
Thank you.
Good. All right, so then that way, they'll just kind of keep the process moving. Okay, so with that said, and is there any other, while we're here, is there any other public comment regarding this application, other than the one resident? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and let's adjourn this to October the 16th. Somebody wants to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Okay, seconded. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. Okay. Takes care of this. So, moving on into the agenda, we have a discussion regarding the Kimmel subdivision. We have a resolution for preliminary and final subdivision.
Hi, Eric Rogie with Hudson Land Design.
Okay, how you doing? So you've, obviously you received the revised,
Yes.
the revised resolution from the planner. No objections to, has it been written, or do we need to have some discussion on anything?
I had a question on just one item.
Okay.
Under the conditions for outside agency approvals, I just wanted to make sure I know what agencies we would need to get approvals from before plan
That's
signing.
That's sort of a standard condition that we put in case there are straggling approvals that you're waiting for from the DEC or the health department, things like that. As far as I know, you have your approvals from DEC, but we, as a good measure, we put that as a condition, so that you are held accountable to any outstanding condition, any outstanding approvals that you may need.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking through that, and I know we have a driveway on a county road, but we can't really get the driveway permit till that driveway is built, so we can't really get that approval before signature.
Yeah, they already issued a letter saying
Right.
that the location was fine.
Yeah, they said the location was fine, and we had to put a sign in, but
Yeah.
can't really do anything
Yeah.
until it gets built.
Yeah, that's normal, that's normal.
So-
They-
Yeah, that's
As long as the
right.
county gives some conditional approval, we're not requiring the highway work permit to put the driveway in, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the other one was the speedies permit, if that's gonna need to be filed with the DEC before plan signature. Just, I'm not sure when construction is gonna start. I don't know if it makes sense to open the permit now if,
Is it an individual,
No, it's,
general
Okay.
construction, or is it an individual? Is it an individual permit, or is it general construction?
it's general construction, it's
So then you
between,
just have to submit the NOI.
there's no stormwater practices, it's less than 5 acres, so it's really just a erosion control thing. I don't know if that can be
Oh,
just
okay.
part of the
Yeah,
first
but that gets-
construction.
doesn't that get filed, that just gets filed prior to the start of work, correct?
Okay, that's why.
Yeah, so it doesn't, I don't think it has to do with the subdivision process, having to file the NOI, correct?
there won't be an NOI, correct?
There will be, but it will be erosion control only.
Erosion control, yeah, so.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
At
Yeah.
the time of the first building permit, I think is when it would be appropriate.
Well, the soil disturb, whenever they get the approvals to do the site work.
Right, okay, all right,
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to confirm that. That's what
Okay.
I thought, just wanted to make sure.
all right. Yeah, so there's really, so nothing we have to address there then? Okay. All right. So other than that, I will, so if we want to entertain a motion to approve the resolution and primary and final subdivision approval.
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, you're all set.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right, our next item on the agenda is a discussion regarding Adams of Wappinger LLC remodel.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
Need a moment to plug in here. Steve Betcher, construction manager with Adams Barricker Farms. Thank you for the feedback thus far on our project. And you want me to go first, or do you gentlemen want to start this one? We're prepared, but whatever's best.
Okay. Usually, I mean, we have something, I guess, obviously, to put up on the screen. Just want to give like a, if you want to start by giving just a brief overview of, you know, what you're proposing to do on the site. And then, once you get through that, then we'll kind of open up the, you know, let the board, you know, ask any questions that they feel they have, and then we'll pass it along to our professional staff, and we can kind of review the letters, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so brief project narrative has been distributed, and we also did the conceptual a little while back, but Adams is proposing to renovate and create a proposed cooler expansion on the north elevation of our building on Old Post Road. Also to the south side, enclosing 2 exterior covered areas that are now under cover to allow for minor interior expansions. Approximate total of 1,500 square feet of additional floor space in the building. And the plan also includes elimination of 11 parking places, and that's been corrected. We'll get into that in a moment. Okay. 11 parking spaces will be eliminated on the north side, and 23 added to the southeast side. The Adams are in receipt of the secret letter from Dutchess County Health Department, department which takes no objection to the planning board serving as lead agent. And then I believe H&H also followed up with a comment that the application is considered type 2, no further secret actions required. The project, again, from the Department of Health, appears not to require health department approvals. We also received Form ZR23, the standard form from Dutchess County Planning Department. They have no comments that we're aware of. And then review letters were also received from CPL and H&H. Unfortunately, our site engineer, engineering, surveying properties, Jay, he could not be here tonight. We have had conversations with him throughout the day. We received these comments, these review letters today. We've had conversations. We'd like to have the opportunity to share his preliminary responses. Tonight, I think it'll maybe clear the air on a couple things, or at least let us know what needs to happen further. And then that would be, of course, his formal responses. And one of the goals that we would be hoping for tonight is to respectfully ask the planning board to consider a motion to draft a resolution for amended site plan for approval at next month's meeting, if it were possible. Of course, subject to engineering, surveying properties, formal response, and addressing the town engineers or planners' comments. And then Adams will have to pull a wetland permit also. We're aware of that per the comments. We would also ask if the board would respectfully consider formally waiving a public hearing, if that were a possibility. So regarding comments, starting with CPLs, their narrative indicates a net reduction of impervious area. So I want to make sure we're not misunderstanding here, or there's no confusion. The request is that it would be checked, as there's a thought that it might be an increase of 4,000 square feet. We want to be clear on the impervious area that's currently existing. In other words, the nursery area is already impervious. Essentially what we're doing is swapping asphalt for compacted item 4 or stone pavement. I did bring some photos. This is a photo of the area behind the parking lot on the south side. Maybe by way of reference, let me show you another one. So this is actually standing in the nursery looking toward the parking lot. It's our understanding that that compacted item 4, the stone and the asphalt, is impervious already. In other words, it's not pervious at this point. So are we misunderstanding anything there?
I'll defer to the engineer on that one.
I would just make that clear in your response. It may not have been clear on the plans that that was the case, so.
Understood.
If the response says we, you know, this area is already compacted, impervious, then that should go away.
Yeah, and we're not being sarcastic with that picture, by the way. We took it on just after a rainstorm, but it's impervious, and what's back there. So
I'm sure.
It's the way it timed out. Excuse me. So, and then to the north side of the building, the cooler area is already impervious. We effectively would be taking out some of the impervious material and adding pervious via landscape addition. So we're fairly confident that I'm speaking more for myself. Our engineer is confident that it will be a net reduction.
Right, just like I said, just make that clear in the response.
Roger that. Thank you.
Okay.
Number 2, we're CPL's review, requiring piping modifications due to the elimination of the catch basin. Understood. EOR, engineer record will add a note to the revised plans that the pipes will be removed. Number 3, where water and other site utilities near the cooler addition should be shown, or parking addition should be shown. Yes, there is a hydrant located in that south parking lot area, and the EOR will show the move of the hydrant as well as the details for that hydrant. It's a pretty easy addition. Number 4, show grading for the parking lot expansion and additional drainage if necessary. Show that no stormwater will discharge toward the residential properties to the east. Our engineer, Jay, he is confident he will, by showing the necessary grading on the revised plans, that'll demonstrate no stormwater will discharge to the residential properties, as well as the curbing that's in place too.
Yep.
All right, great. Landscaping around the cooler, in addition, should be shown. Understood. EOR will add that to the plan. That's also picked up on H&H's review as well. Show paving sections in detail. Respectfully, could we refer to the original approved plans for that? That would be number 6, and frankly, number 7 too. Show drainage piping details. Could we refer to the original approved plans for that?
I mean, would it be, I mean, it's something that, it's really just details. I mean, it's something that the engineer can copy from one set and put it, incorporate it into this set. I mean, that's all they're looking for.
Do they do the
It's not like they're,
original plans or no?
yeah,
I mean, these are pretty standard details. It shouldn't take
Yeah.
much effort to put them on the plan. It's just, it makes it easier if they're with the amended site plan package rather than having to refer back to an old site plan.
Okay, we'll relay that back to him, sure. That takes care of CPLs, our just preliminary responses
CPLs.
to those. For H&H, the secret is addressed there. It's at type 2, so no further actions required. Landscaping, agreed. The EOR engineer will provide landscaping plan as outlined above in the comments here to the revised drawings. Parking, there is a math error on our part, so we will correct that. That's understood. There is still a net increase in parking places, but we got to fix the math and corresponding applications and so on. That should be pretty straightforward. There was a question regarding the proposed parking area expansion if it meets, it does meet the design standards, but it raises the question, and the question is the area of the parking lot, if it will be used by larger trucks or large trucks and require a similar design? The answer to that, let me put that back up. The answer to that is yes, it will be used for nursery delivery trucks as it is now. Essentially, that whole, it'll be shown on the plans, and you'll show that it's basically shifting probably more southeastward at that point. But yes, it will be used, and for delivery trucks in the EOR, we'll show that on the plans.
Okay.
The
In that
revised
case, just because the design of that end island, that striped area is changing, can you make a note of the largest size truck that's going to be moving through there and provide a truck turning template? Demonstrate that this new design, everything, it meets design standards for normal cars parking in that area, but if you're going to have trucks moving through there regularly, let's just make sure that that's not going to have an issue. Okay. Yeah. So just let us know what the size is going to be, and then put a truck turning template on there showing what their standard maneuverability is going to be, how they, how they're going to come in, access where they need to, and turn around and come back out. Yeah.
Noted, thanks. Wetlands, understood. Adams will obtain the required permit. So as far as the preliminary responses to the comments, Jay from Engineering and Surveying Properties would formally submit a response to that if the board would so consider. And again, we're respectfully asking if you would consider drafting the resolution so maybe to be voted on in the next meeting. We're appealing, it would really help our schedule. Coming into the holidays, obviously we're an operating retail outlet already. Between how it's all that goes into that, if consideration could be given.
Yeah. I mean, the bigger question is, how quick is the engineer going to get all this stuff put on paper?
We're confident we can submit by September 11 to make the October 2nd meeting. In which case, if the resolution for an amended site plan was drafted and ready to go, it would just not have us to go to the following month.
Yeah.
And we're asking respectfully, and also subject to the engineer's formal responses and our pulling the permit.
Yeah. Okay, because because there's one, with the relocation of the hydrant, there was one other issue that really didn't get addressed too, is the Fire Prevention Bureau needs to, at least agree on that relocation. So, the quicker you can get the plans, maybe, the fire inspector can kind of maybe get that resolved, at least prior to the next meeting, that you would be here, just to confirm it's a good location or not. Okay, so that's something, again, it's without having the actual, the items in the letters addressed, it's hard to, kind of approve, a draft resolution, because there's still some open issues, but I'll leave it up to the board. I don't know. Actually, before, let's just ask the planner, if to draft a resolution, obviously they have to make the submission.
Mm-hmm. We have to meet that September.
And we have to do that. How long would it be? Because the review letters usually come out usually it's supposed to be the Wednesday before the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously you know what your comments are going to be if there's any open items. Obviously, the engineer will have his, if everything's addressed.
Well,
would it be something that could be drafted, before the end of the week, so it's done before the weekend so that the board could see it? If everything's addressed, that's my question.
I think that absolutely we can draft that with the assumption being that all of these items will be addressed. And if they aren't, we won't vote on that resolution.
Correct.
Or we'll amend it as needed. But,
yeah.
I'm curious to hear how John feels with my open-ended items. If you correct the math with the parking, you show the landscaping, which is minimal, and you show us a truck turning radius that our traffic engineers give, green flag to, then,
Right.
then that's everything that I'm waiting to see. I'll have the dates from the new set of plans that have addressed everything, and those dates will be reflected in the resolution.
just-
How do you feel?
No, I agree. I think our comments are pretty straightforward, and I'm sure their engineer can address them in a timely fashion. The only thing we can't control is getting a response out of the fire department, so.
Right. Yeah. It's something that's the fire, the fire inspector can reach out to the fire chief as well to kind of get a response. But with that, I mean, that's outside of the control here. How's the board feel with this project? Just, I mean, with the number of items that are.
I think we help them out.
Yeah.
Help them get it going.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with everything.
Is everybody's in agreement?
Yeah, as long as those guys.
As long as staff can
Right.
produce the document.
So then
we
it'll be
need.
on them to get their end taken
Right.
care of, and then it'll be ready to vote on it.
Right. If not, if there's too many open issues, we just don't act. And we'll deal with that. So, the other housekeeping issue we have is a public hearing. So, does the board feel that we need to have a public hearing for this project, or is everybody in favor of waiving the public hearing?
I'd say waive it.
I'm in favor of waiving.
Waive it. Doesn't
Okay.
affect any neighbors.
Waive it? Okay. So, somebody make a motion to waive the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so waive the public hearing for you.
Thank you.
We also need an authorization to have the planner draft a resolution of approval based upon the future submission.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for him to draft it pending their.
Because that would be for,
Yeah.
submission, that would be for
Pending
the
their submission.
October,
And approval of that.
whatever it is, second meeting?
October 2nd is the meeting, September 11th is the submission.
Okay. All right. Yeah, somebody second it?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, so with that, I think that's pretty much all we're gonna do. There's an item you were discussing regarding clearing a neg deck. Usually that is included within our final approval.
We don't.
Type 2, would that be required?
Oh, sorry, that's right, yeah, this was determined it was it's a type 2 action, so there's no negative declaration required.
Stuff.
Okay, so we'll be awaiting your
We'll get right
submission.
on it.
Okay.
And again, on behalf of the Adams organization, Pat and Steve Adams as well, our appreciation for the accommodation. And B's been fantastic all along, working with us, getting this, giving us what we need to do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So moving down the agenda here, we have our next item, which is for a site plan and special use permit for Ober Creek Farm Brewery and Tasting Room.
Okay, thank you all. My name is Alex Reese. This is my partner, Phil Shaw, and this is Kyle Ahern from La Bella. I think we've addressed a lot of the points that were made at last meeting, and so I'm going to leave that to Kyle to go through the changes that have been made so far to the plans.
Okay.
Thank you, Alex. Good evening, everyone. All right, so we were last here July 17th. My colleague Kyle Bardwell was actually at that meeting to introduce you guys to this project. At that meeting, we had submitted a preliminary application. It had, grading. It had a lot of the same pieces that you'll see tonight, but Since that meeting, we've provided more detailed information on the plans. We supplemented the site plan set with a stormwater pollution prevention plan, a full environmental assessment form, and we submitted the architectural elevations. We also, since that time, we've made some submissions to SHPO and DEC. So we have not heard back from them yet. So when we hear back, we will provide that to the town. We had submitted to the DOH previously. We have comments from them. We have our responses together, so we anticipate we'll be resubmitting to the Department of Health in the next week or so. And we will submit to KMO Pollution Prevention at the same time to get their input on the water connection that's proposed. The applicant also Alex met with the fire chief. He had recommended, we currently propose 1 fire hydrant. Let me see if I have the right plan showing. All right. Just back a tiny bit. Let's see if this is working. All right. So the fire hydrant was located along the drop-off loop. The fire chief would like to see 2 fire hydrants, so we'll be shifting 1 down towards the tasting room and then providing another fire hydrant south, closer to the existing farm stand. Besides that, he had no other concerns. The Fire Prevention Bureau also reviewed the plans. They had no concerns. And we've also received comment letters from CPL and H&H. So I don't think we need to go through all the items, but the long and short of them, largely technical comments that we read through them. Nothing major that any issues. I would like to speak with John a little bit, in the next coming days about some of the SWIP comments, just to make sure we're on the same page on that. And I know there was one comment about traffic that I'd like to discuss.
Yeah, we talked about that before during the workshop. And since Malcolm's office is in agreement that no traffic study should be required, then that comment goes away.
Okay. So that's about it. But we would, any questions you guys have, we would love to answer. And we're hoping the next step, the public hearing, we can get that scheduled tonight as well.
Okay.
Any questions we could do?
You guys have, any of the board members have any questions before we?
We looked it over. We didn't see anything really. It all looks pretty good.
Okay. All right. Malcolm, you have anything at this point?
I mean, we can, I can go through my memo. I discussed it with you. There's one technical one about parking lot. I'm not sure if you've reached a conclusion on that or...
have not, but we will be making sure that we're going to show essentially dashed lines for what a conventional parking stall would look like. Obviously, since it's gravel, it won't be striped that way, but just so planimetrically it displays and demonstrates the correct widths. Yeah.
I think that's the easiest solution. Other than that, it's all very minor housekeeping and a bunch of comments to keep things in our mind for the record in anticipation of moving forward with the secret determination and the resolution. So, unless you had any questions about anything on the memo.
Basically just some SWIP questions, because this is a pretty unique project with some of the existing constraints. And actually, I did have one. So we had requested a waiver on the boulders along the buffer. So you'll see here this is the existing tasting room.
By the handicap parking, right?
Yes, exactly. So the handicap parking itself, inclusive of some minimal grading along the edges and some landscaping along the edges, is within that buffer. But also within the buffer overall is an existing farm field. So we don't really want to be placing boulders within this field that are going to get run over by tractors and
I don't think you need to. I don't. We discussed this in the pre-meeting. You're showing them where we would want to see them, sort of as curb stoppers in that parking area.
Right, yes.
But it's an active farm field, it's in the ag district.
Yeah, we're
You don't have
good.
to mark out.
Yes, it's not required to be put in.
Perfect. So yes, glad I remembered that. But there's nothing else, specific comments that, that I don't think we have a good, answer to and response to in the next submission.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I guess, basically it looks like we have to, to move it forward, I guess we'd have to, schedule a public hearing. I guess that would be the next step. So, B, what would be the next?
October 2nd? October 2nd? maybe?
October 2nd would be so is October 2nd, would that work?
So would you be looking for a full resubmission by the 11th? Because that would be the only potential hang-up, specifically with the SWIP comments. There may be some additional soil testing involved with that, so.
We can push that off.
How much of the comments do you think we want a full resubmission prior to that?
Not for me, but for John,
Yeah.
potentially.
John,
For the purposes of opening a public hearing, I don't think they need to have every single item addressed.
Right. So basically what I'm asking is that the comment items that are open, more or less, nothing's going to drastically change the scope of the project at this point?
No.
Right, okay, so by having a public hearing, we should be okay with what's laid out here. Nothing's drastically going to change, it's just, there's the housekeeping items and things like that that are in the letter that need to get addressed.
Yeah, I think we could do a public hearing with this plan.
With this plan?
Yeah.
That's, okay.
Then that'd be great, yeah.
All right. So I guess that would answer your question, that we don't need a whole, everything. So would the October 2nd date work for you for the public hearing?
Yes. Sure.
Okay. All right, so at this point, I entertain a motion to schedule a public hearing for this project for October 2nd.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll see you in a second. Okay. All right, so our next item on the agenda this evening is a conceptual review for DC Sports renovation.
How we doing, everybody? Dan Pizzarelli, owner-operator of DC Sports on Route 9. If you guys look at the plan, I don't know how far in depth I need to go as a conceptual thing. I really was just trying to get the feel of everybody before I move forward with the project. Because the guy that I've been talking to, he's out of Georgia, and he wants payment before he comes up to actually give me the scope of the project of our site. All right, this proposed that I sent you is something that they just built that's in Georgia, right? But it would be pretty similar to what this is, but it would be modified based on our specs and everything else.
Okay. Do you have a copy of that with you? I don't know if anybody.
I printed out 12.
It's in the blue envelope, the blue folder. Do you have that up there?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's in, all right.
It's like the jungle gym walkway looking thing.
Yeah, the ropes course thing. Yeah.
So obviously over the years,
Not mine, no, I don't.
it's been, the place has been renovated, and it's doing great with the volleyball and the mini golf and everything else. Through COVID, I think the bumper boats kind of took a downward spike, and the pool has been seriously cracking, and there's a lot of work to it. So based on how they built everything originally, it's all under concrete. So I'd have to chip everything out because all the pipes that are all around the pool are broke. So I'd have to do a lot of demo to fix all that stuff. Right now I'm spending a lot of money on water just to keep it in there, and I just don't think it's viable anymore. With this project, I can get 2 more months out of it on both sides. Bumper boats is really, you know, Memorial Day to Labor Day. This I can open, you know, in March and go all the way till October. I would get 2 more months on each side of it. I know the biggest thing was the height restriction that we talked about. They can modify anything to whatever height we needed to make it. I think it was 35 feet, somewhere I heard the number around there. These sections are like 12 to 14 feet high. So the third section would be above that threshold, so we might have to get a variance or something, or we can modify based on whatever we need to do.
Would us or zoning do that?
The height would have to go in front of the ZBA.
The height would go in front of the
Yeah, so
Now,
that would
this
be-
is placed close to Route 9?
Yeah, right where the swimming pool is.
Yeah, this was the old Fun Central right there on Route 9, yeah.
I have no problem with any of it.
We're just trying to modify it, make it a better all year round location.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand. I'm just thinking, what would be, so I mean, obviously what you submitted was,
It would look similar to this, because this
Yeah.
is 3 sections,
Yeah.
3 stories high.
yeah, so I'm just looking at the, I mean, what was submitted here, I mean, really, how are you gonna address the actual pool right now that's there?
So they would build it in the pool itself. So it's a self-contained unit that they put up, right? So the pool would be emptied, right? And then they would put posts in the pool depending on where they needed to erect everything. Each one is 25 by 25 in a square, right? So like each section that goes 3 stories high, each one is 25 by 25. And we've already measured everything. The pool itself is about 110 feet. So we could get 3 sections was the plan.
Okay, so you wouldn't have, nothing else around it's gonna get affected?
No,
the
nothing,
outside, so
nothing
I'm
will
saying,
get
how you
affected.
gonna-
The only thing that's gonna get affected is where the bumper boats is. I'm gonna take down the fences and the umbrellas because we need to build the shack to get up into it, and maybe shacks for like the harnesses and stuff and the helmets. Because we have that purple shed that's down there, that's where all the bumper boat stuff goes in. So we might have to modify something on the outside to make it more feasible to make everybody use this thing. Because obviously you're gonna step, like from the concrete, you're gonna step on stairs to go up into the platforms to where you get on the zip line.
Yeah, okay. But the underneath that, all that pool, whatever's in that pool is gonna stay there? Or you
Yes.
fill that in?
I'm not filling it in, no.
Okay. That's
Address any drainage?
You're gonna get the water.
Yeah, I mean, we drain it every year
You're
anyway.
gonna drain all the water out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, yeah, you're gonna drain.
The water itself, like if I don't do anything and I don't refill it,
Drain on its own at
it's
this
gone.
point. Yeah, no, I get that.
It's a little ridiculous, actually.
Yeah,
but
no, I just, okay.
No, yeah, so there'll be no water in the pool.
But you'll leave the pool itself is gonna stay?
Yeah, the concrete sides and everything will stay.
Concrete and everything, so, okay. And there's nothing, so nothing will really change on the site, other than just taking this and erecting this in the middle of the...
Correct.
Okay.
But is there drainage at the bottom of the pool now?
Yes.
That like, where does that go?
Well, there's one pipe that drains the whole pool that connects
Right.
into
There's like
the
a
town.
Yeah, you have like a regular bottom drain.
Yeah, master drain. I just
Okay.
pull
That's right.
I pull the cork and everything goes out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
It's a pipe with a hole in it.
that's it.
Yeah,
It empties quick.
okay. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of,
As a concept, I like, I mean, especially outside, I was asking about how close it was to Route 9 because it's actually, could be a draw to our town.
yeah, I mean, obviously, it's gonna be there. You're physically gonna see that right there. It's,
So it'll be on the Route 9, obviously, in the bumper boat area. So there's 3 palm trees. There's a fence, right? And then it goes up a grade of like maybe 8 feet. Then there's palm trees, and then there's 4 feet of concrete. And then the pool would start.
yeah.
So there's more than
You'll
enough.
see it from Route 9, it'll be,
Oh, you're gonna see it.
well, I'm happy about it.
Well, it's gonna be, I mean, it's probably gonna be just as high as the castle, if not a little bit higher, right? So the castle itself that sits out on Route 9 is probably 30 feet high, 25 feet high.
This is a conceptual, right, so we can hammer the rest of it out later, but as a concept, I like it myself.
Well, that was the plan, just I needed to feel it out before I spent the money on the guy to give me the actual.
Before you spend money on getting somebody to make a full submission for
Yeah,
the revised site.
exactly. And he said they do everything. They come to the town, they have everything, site, all that stuff is all included in the stuff.
Okay. All right. And then with the submission, we'll get kind of like you can give us kind of a little bit of a visual of what it will look like from now.
Yeah, you're gonna get a detailed everything. When he comes to give me everything, he's gonna give a detailed plan of what we're gonna do.
Okay. All right. Because I mean, I kind of like it. I think as well, it seems to be.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a great attraction. I think
Yeah.
it'll do a lot better than the bumper boats.
Yeah.
Go for the whole 3 stories on it too, go see zoning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deal.
Well, if it's in the pool, it might.
Right, you lose
You might actually.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, it's only like 4
Where
foot
you
deep.
measure from.
Right,
Max.
exactly right.
And it's however it's written in the.
Well,
zoning.
it's measured from the grade adjacent, I mean, this is not a building,
Right.
so it becomes a little squirrely, but if it was a building, it
Right.
would be measured from the grade adjacent to it.
To it, right. So if
So
it's
it would
measured
be
from
the pool deck as it is now
Yeah.
to the top. So
Yeah.
it may well be less than 35 feet.
Yeah.
It's gonna be close.
Yeah.
I think the max, I think he said it was like 45 with all 3 levels.
All 3 levels would be 45.
Yeah.
Sitting in a 4-foot pool.
Right.
Yeah, it's still.
Can always ask them.
And
We'll let somebody else make the determination on how to figure out the height.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But,
That's fine.
But regardless, I'm assuming the rest of the board, you guys are all good with this as well?
Sure. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
And just to the height question, so on the top here, there's a framework, and so the only thing really at the top of this is just that framework and some lines cables you'd be clipping on.
Yeah,
It's
so the
not
top,
like-
just underneath the poles, right, there's the zip lines that they would be on that the rope would be hanging from.
Right,
Right, so the people are still walking from the platform to platform.
right.
Yeah.
Or crawling or whatever they want to do.
So it's
It
just-
depends, I don't, like I said, I can't remember how it's written here, but what you figure for the overall height, so.
Yeah, I mean, usually,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
our
what's
code
included-
exempts things like cornices and, so if it was a typical building and you had it like a steeple or you had, a
Right.
chimney,
Yeah.
those things typically don't get considered in the building height.
Right.
This is kind of a little weird in that,
Right, it's
you've
not a-
got,
Yeah.
Not a residence, it's not a building, it's.
yeah, it's not a building.
The guy actually has a concept too with like a zip line as well, like
Yeah.
from one of the spots to the building. Like it would go all the way over the mini golf. I don't know if that was like, I don't know, but they're gonna like that. Yeah, take it easy. Let's get stuff approved first.
Your insurance.
Right, I mean, yeah. But I think it would be a cool concept.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like with everybody right now, that, everybody seems to be in favor of the conceptual you have here, so.
What's the next step from here now?
So the next step was make a full application for what I believe is gonna be an amended site plan.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming that the property area had a site plan approval.
Yep.
At some point in time. So it's basically just an amendment to change, this portion of the site itself. With the new attraction.
What's that?
This is a special permit, right? So
Well, I mean, so that's the other question, right? Because it's probably,
special
it's
use?
already got a special use permit, I
think so.
assume?
I mean, it's gotta have something.
thought
I imagine.
recreation, I think, is a
Sure,
special
you
permit.
have a special use permit, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I mean, it's still a recreational use. It's a-
They're not amending
So
the
you're,
special permit.
I don't think you're amending the special permit. The only question that I would have, and I don't think it's gonna change, I mean, I don't know how this affects.
If there's, but if the previous site plan had a special permit attached to it,
Yeah, I think
I
this
guess it would
continues.
have to be reviewed, but I don't know if it.
Yeah, I don't think it changes anything.
Yeah, because, usually the special permit's gonna address things like, hour of operations,
Yeah.
things like that, so.
I just don't know how long it's been. So like, cause when I
Yeah.
took it over, I never came to do any of this because it was the same
Right, you
concept.
just-
Right, I
Right,
just
right,
changed the name and took it
Yeah.
over.
I mean,
Yeah,
You know,
you're
so-
looking,
did you come in to do a permit for the volleyball court?
Yeah, I came in and did the volleyball, cause we had to take all the batting cages down and re-put drainage in.
So that was probably the last thing, I would think.
yeah.
So
But
that was
the volleyball
7
court
years ago.
was very simple at the time, I
Right, right.
believe.
Yeah, I
That
kind
was just,
of vaguely remember
yeah.
that. But the only, I mean, so and this would, my only the only question I have, which would be a little weird, is parking calculation. Does it change it any?
No,
There's
it's
still
gonna be-
100
The parking
and-
calculation is gonna be based on the overall special permit. It's not based on what attractions are within it.
Yeah.
It's hard to
It's just
determine
a,
attraction.
yeah, because it's actually just changing the same attraction.
Yeah, I mean,
The
we
same
don't-
the
right.
same area of the attraction.
so-
So it's really a move.
I don't think we have any calculation for a recreational use like this. It's probably over, you know.
I mean, when you make the full submission, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
don't think that it will. I don't think that it will change.
I don't have any room for no more spots.
think
so-
it's-
No, I don't. I mean, I think it's fine.
I can't
so.
put spots anywhere.
Park in a pool.
I think for the most part, it's just what, what it's gonna look like visually. Again, the people you work with, it sounds like they're gonna have a pretty good, package to submit.
Yeah,
to
they've
us,
done
I
it all
guess.
over the country, so they got so many submissions that are different, and they design each one based on what they're doing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
once they come and they give me everything, it'll be a 3D image of in the pool or what's around it.
Yeah, okay. All right, so yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
I think,
if they have any questions, they can call.
Yeah, I was gonna
call
say
the
you could
building department.
reach,
or
yeah.
call the planning department.
yeah. Reach
Okay.
out to, probably to Barbara Roberti.
'Cause-
You've probably been,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because there's
you've
some.
probably been dealing with her up to this point. She
Yes.
just doesn't happen to be here tonight, but reach out to her and she could
Because
probably.
there's going to be some kind of wrinkles in this, but we'll work them through.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, I can't see there being too many, but.
No, it's just that
Yeah.
it doesn't fit into the typical.
It's out of the norm.
Right.
It's definitely out of the norm.
I like that. I like out of the norm. I'm good with that.
So, so we'll be awaiting, we'll
Okay.
we'll wait
Appreciate
a
it.
submission and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Just
All
one
right.
quick question. Did you consider anything else before you looked at this?
No.
Okay.
I kind of had that set in my head that I was gonna
Just
do
curious.
that.
Okay, cool.
I didn't want, the bumper boats to me is just a mess.
Oh, absolutely.
I've always been a mess
Yep.
since I
Yeah.
took it over, so I like.
Well, the one point you had brought up about getting a little more, on
Yeah.
each side of the summer season, use out of it, that made sense because we actually were discussing it a little bit,
If it wasn't-
prior.
If it wasn't concreted all the way around, I might try to do something, but like, it's just,
Yeah.
everywhere is concreted, and it's gonna be a lot of demo
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do it.
yeah. But this makes sense, what you're looking to do.
Perfect. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
all right, thank you. Okay, so with that, we had the last item, which was Central Bar Hudson Valley, and they had sent us an email because they had some issues that had come up in regard to their plan, and they asked to be removed from tonight's agenda. So with that, we are now at the end of the agenda.
Make a motion, say goodnight.
Okay, so somebody's made a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you.